Hey guys, what's going on? And for the first video of 2018, I wanted to go over some of the great games that I played in 2017. Now, I want to say that this is not a complete list of every single game that I played in 2017. This is just a list composed of games that I felt were really good, or games that I enjoyed, or games that I just feel that should be worth talking about. So the first thing I want to say before I start this video is that if you notice, the production quality is a little bit better in this video than in any of my previous videos, because I figured that I'm going to try and experiment and use Microsoft Word, I mean not Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint for some of my videos, and then maybe even have some music playing in the background just to kind of increase the quality of my videos. I kind of feel that my video style kind of feels a little archaic and like something that you would see from 2008, 2009 YouTube. And obviously 10 years later, that's not gonna really cut it anymore. So I kind of feel that it just be a little interesting thing, and plus the video will be more entertaining for you guys to watch and listen to. And then another thing, I'm probably gonna change my name on YouTube for the first time in 10 years. The name I'm currently thinking is called Cyber Kid Willie. And just to give a little explanation for why I'm going to call it that, that's my current name on Steam. But um, back when I was growing up, anytime there was a problem with a computer or any kind of technology in the house, um, my parents and would just kind of call me to kind of help them with whatever problems they had, because at that time they hadn't really used computers much. And then I kind of had more experience with computers from at school and stuff like that. And then whenever there was a problem, I was kind of the one they would call to try to help fix it. I would have family members from miles away call my mom or dad and be like, "Can you get William on the phone? I need some help." And then that was just kind of my thing. They would call me the computer whiz or the tech man, or just little names like that. And I kind of feel that that's a little something I was really proud of. I was very proud to kind of use a skill and just help people like that. And then the Willie part, my name is actually William, but people called me Willie in college, because the reason why they did that was there was another guy who went there whose name was also William. And to tell us apart, they were like, okay, well, we're going to call him Will or William, and we'll just call you Willie. And then that name stuck from my freshman year all the way until I graduated. So that was just kind of my thing. But we spent enough time on this. Let's get into the video. Okay, so the first game I want to talk about is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Okay, just to give a little bit of experience with the Zelda franchise, I did not really grow up playing the Zelda games. And that wasn't because I didn't like Zelda. That wasn't because for any reason like that. I just simply didn't really play Zelda growing up. Growing up, I was all about that Mario and whatnot, but there was something about Zelda that I didn't really play until I got into my teens. There was just something about Zelda, I just never really got into it. But I went into Zelda Breath of the Wild. I heard really good things about the game. All the videos I saw about it looked really fun. And I have to say, I think the game was excellent. I think the game was a really fun game. I really enjoyed the fact that, it just drops you in this world and you can explore. You can just, level up, get all these cool weapons. I just kind of feel the game was really fun. Now, was the game this awesome masterpiece that some people make it out to be? Absolutely not. But I do feel that the game was a really excellent game. I think if you have a Wii U or a Switch, it's definitely a must-buy game. I just kind of feel that maybe if they had a way to kind of fix weapons after you broke them, because there are some weapons, like I think the legendary weapons, but for the most part, if a weapon breaks, you're pretty much screwed. And I kind of think that maybe there should be like a way for certain weapons, not all of them, but maybe a few, to have a way to fix them after they break. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So Mario Kart is a series that has been around since Super Nintendo, and it's a series loved by millions all around the world. For me, I grew up playing Mario Kart. I loved it. I love Mario Kart. It was so much fun to play with friends and family. And then after Mario Kart Wii came out, I kind of just stopped playing the games. I didn't dislike them. I just kind of just, it's just something where you just kind of fall out of it for a while. But then when Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was announced for the Switch, I was like, hey, I might pick this up and get back into Mario Kart. And sure enough, that same love that I felt for Mario Kart, there's just the craziness of what happens every race, it came rushing back to me. All these great memories, especially when they had lots of tracks from the older games like Double Dash, or even Mario Kart 64 is in the game. It has a pretty wide list of characters. The graphics look beautiful. They brought back a proper battle mode, unlike how it was in the Wii U version, where in that version you just have regular tracks. There's no like battle arenas in the Wii U version, but then in the Switch version they brought it back. And I just kind of feel that this game is amazing. It's really good. It's a fun game, and one of the biggest things I like about it was being able to hold 2 items at once. They brought that back from Double Dash, sort of. And then the smart steering and auto acceleration feature. The reason why I like that feature is I don't use them, but I'm happy it's there for children, for maybe older people who don't really play games, and then most importantly for people who may have some sort of disability that can make it very hard or difficult to hold a controller. I've seen so many stories like on Reddit or whatnot where they say Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, smart steering feature allowed my disabled brother or disabled sister or whatever to be able to play a game when they previously wouldn't be able to. They would talk about how they grew up loving video games, but then something happened and they aren't able to play the games anymore. But in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you can pretty much just turn on the smart steering, turn on the auto acceleration, and pretty much the only button you would have to press would probably be items. And you aren't gonna win a match with it that way, but at least you can participate. At least you can kind of have fun, because I'd rather them use that feature than instead of not being able to play the game at all. Although I will have to say, the only things that I would do in Mario Kart 8 to make it better would be I would first have an option to switch between the items you have, because in the game, if you got 2 items, you have to use the primary item before you can use the secondary item. And I've played the game with multiple friends, and one of the first questions they ask is, how do you switch items? And then I just have to say, well, you can't switch items. I'll just have to say that. And I've seen some people say that if you could switch items, then you would just hold on to a really good item until you needed it, and then it would just kind of people start camping. But I kind of would like to at least have it be an option, at least have it something you can turn on or off, and then just switch items. And the other thing I would like to put in the game would be for the battle mode. So in the battle mode, right off top of my head, you have like a regular balloon battle. You have like Shine Thief, where you have to kind of like just capture the flag. I'm trying to think what the other ones. You have Cops and Robbers. What else do you have? You have Coin Runners, and I think there was a 5th one. I can't remember what it was, but pretty much it's really fun, but it has one critical flaw for me, and that critical flaw is that there's no way to turn on elimination mode. So what I mean by that is that in Mario Kart 8, you have balloons that pop up on the back of your car, and the only way to win is you have to try to pop the most balloons. But in, I want to say, Mario Kart 64, it was elimination mode. So it would be whoever could pop the most balloons and survive was the winner. So pretty much if you play like Smash Bros, for instance, this is kind of like timed versus stocks. Yep, there is time, but in my experience, pretty much everybody likes turning on the stocks, so that way, you start out with like say 3 or 4 lives, and then whoever can survive is the winner. And I just kind of feel that if they would add that feature in an update, the game would be immensely better. But right now, it's a great game, but I feel that it's kind of just a few steps away from being awesome. All right, so I spent a little too much time on Mario Kart 8, but I just kind of wanted to talk about that game. Really fun game. I never had a Wii U either, so all these kind of ports that are coming to the Switch right now, I'm very happy to have them because I never played them on Wii U. And then the sales numbers kind of going to show that more people are buying the Switch now than the Wii U. I believe that the Switch has taken over the Wii U's lifetime sales in Japan already. It hasn't even been out for a full year yet. So that's crazy. But let's jump on to the next game. So I'm not going to talk too much about this game. I wasn't really feeling it too much, but I kind of just want to talk about it, anyway. This is ARMS. And ARMS, I feel that it was an interesting little game. Like you just kind of like pick these two characters in a little arena, and then you can and you pretty much just like throw punches, and they all have stretchy arms like Mr. Fantastic or Luffy from One Piece, and it's just pretty much just a kind of fighting game like that. And you can have teams, like team matches, but at least for me and my friends, it just didn't really click with us that much. I mean, we played it a little bit when it first came out. I played the beta that came out for the Switch, but I just wasn't really feeling it. I just really wasn't feeling the game. I just kind of feel the game was kind of meh. I didn't really enjoy it that much. But if the game was like a little bit cheaper, I probably would have bought it. But I didn't really like it enough to be like, yeah, I'm going to spend $60 on this game. Okay, so the next game on my list is Snipper Clips, and I'm pretty much going through all the Nintendo Switch games I played. But anyway, Snipper Clips. This game was a pretty fun launch title for the Switch. It was actually the first Switch game I played, but in the game you play as these little creatures, these little characters, and the objective is to solve these puzzles. But the only way to solve them, you have to actually cut yourself. Like that sounds so bad, but you have to actually cut yourself into the right shape. Excuse me, I had to burp. You had to cut yourself into the right shape and then position your character in order to solve the puzzle. So if you wanted to solve a certain puzzle, it may be like, okay, fit your character into this specific shape, or maybe there's like a ball and you have to kind of make sure that ball gets to the goal. It's just like little puzzles like that. And I thought the game was a pretty fun game. It was $20, and I gotta say, really the biggest problems I had with the game was that it did not work with the Pro Controller. You had to use the tiny little baby Joy-Con separately, and for me and for most people, adults have pretty big hands, and the little Joy-Con things, they aren't really that comfortable. Even when you put the wrist strap on it to like make the buttons bigger, it's not as comfortable as using like a Pro Controller or a GameCube controller, or even like I do, I have an adapter to let me use Xbox or PlayStation controllers. But the problem with the game, I just wish that they would have a level creator, be able to let us put in make our own levels, and that would make the game so much more replayable. Because right now, I played the game a few times, me and my friends beat it, and we never went back to the game just because we beat it already. And they came out with a DLC, but I was gonna buy it at one point, but I can kind of tell my friends weren't really interested in it, so I'm gonna be like, okay, this is kind of a co-op game. You can play it by yourself, but it's one of those games that's like, it's kind of made to play with other people. So let's go on to the next game. I'm not going to talk too much about this one, but Bomberman R, Super Bomberman R. And this game was actually my first time playing Bomberman. And I played it, and I thought it was pretty fun. You just go around, placing different bombs, and then try to, blow up your friends. And then they had a little story mode. It wasn't really anything that great, but I'm happy it was there. And I do want to say one thing about this game. I feel that the game should not have been $50. I think maybe if they made it like $20 or $30, that would have been way better. But one thing I want to say about this game, this is one of those games where updates completely change the game. Bomberman R right now is a completely different game than it was day one, because day one it was very bare bones. They had lots of problems and whatnot, but Konami actually listened to the community and they put out lots of updates. So pretty much every big problem with the game has pretty much been fixed. Like that's kind of the consensus that the community has right now, that yeah, this game kind of started off rough, but pretty much every problem has been fixed with the game. And that's crazy that it will complete 180 like that. So the next game I want to talk about is Puyo Tetris. Puyo Tetris. I'm not really that big of a Tetris guy, but this was a game that as soon as it came out for the Switch, my friends would always play it. Like they loved playing it. Like, other people would bring their Switches in and play the game, and the game was just a lot of fun. There's something about Tetris and Puyo that's just addicting. It's just like, you know, it's crazy addicting. But I thought it was a pretty fun game. You know, just kind of Puyo and Tetris. For me, I'm better at the Puyo part than I am the Tetris part, but I'm trying to, you know, get a little bit better at the game. But it's pretty fun. If you can find it for a pretty decent price, then definitely pick it up. Very, very fun, very fun. Okay. So the next game I want to talk about is Pokken Tournament Deluxe. Pokken. I actually saw my friends playing the Wii U version, you know, but I never played it myself. But then when the demo came out for the Switch version, I was like, okay, maybe I'll try it out. And instantly, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty fun. I thought it was a pretty nice game. I liked the controls. I like some of the characters in the game, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty fun game. And then recently, they came out with a Nintendo Direct, and nobody saw this coming, but they're coming out with like some 2 new DLC characters. So that was like, wow, I really didn't expect them to come out with any new characters for the game. But it's a pretty fun game. I like it. So the next game is 1-2 Switch. 1-2 Switch, I kind of feel that game was horribly mismanaged, and I'm gonna tell you why. This 1-2 Switch could have probably been the next Wii Sports had Nintendo made it like way cheaper, or had it be built in or come with the Switch itself, because the game is a pretty nice little party game. You know, like pretty little fun party game. But the problem is it was $50. And I was like, there is no way I'm gonna spend $50 on a glorified Wii Sports. You know, like Wii Sports was a lot of fun, but that was because it came with the system. If it was if it was like a game you had to actually go out and buy, I think that it wouldn't have been as successful. So 1-2 Switch, if I just felt that the game just needed to be cheaper than what it was, cheaper or came with the system. But overall, for like a little party game, it was pretty nice for a party game. Okay, so the next game on my list is The Binding of Isaac for the Switch. And Binding of Isaac, I played a little bit of the original Flash game on my PC, but I never really got into it for some reason. There was something about it it just didn't click with me. But then I played Binding of Isaac on the Switch, and I instantly loved the game. I really enjoyed it. Right now on Switch, I have a little over 200 hours in the game. Like that's just how much I really enjoyed it. What I really like is just there's so much different combinations you can do, synergies for the items, and being able to pick up an item and then pick up another item and then pick up another item, and then you just pretty much combine them all together to create really cool combinations, like being able to just turn into like flying monsters that shoot fire or shoot giant lasers across the screen. And then it's a game that has randomly generated rooms, so that way every time you play it, the rooms, the enemies, the bosses, the items you get are going to be completely different. I would say the only thing I don't really like is that on the PC version, you could download mods and other stuff for the game, and I kind of feel that maybe not Bomberman, maybe Isaac should have had user-created levels like built into the console versions, because if you could have like user-created levels, I think the game would be amazing. And then another thing, the co-op is kind of meh, in Binding of Isaac on the Switch, because one person is an actual character, the other person turns into like a little ghost thing and like a little assistant thing, and that's just kind of meh to me. And the next game I want to talk about is very similar to Isaac. And for a while, after I put in 200 hours into Isaac, I was like, I need to find a game that's gonna scratch that itch. You know, I want a game that's gonna that I'm gonna put in a ton of hours and enjoy. That's gonna kind of fill the void that Isaac left. And then Enter the Gungeon was the game that did that. This game is pretty much Binding of Isaac with guns. That's pretty much what it is. You have randomly generated rooms, random enemies, random bosses, and then you have like shops in the middle of the level. You have treasure chests to unlock more guns. But the biggest difference between Isaac and Gungeon, in my opinion, is that Gungeon is a bullet hell game. It's way, in my opinion, way harder than Isaac. In Isaac, in my opinion, it's very easy to really get overpowered and nothing really becomes a threat. Whereas in Gungeon, no matter what items you get, no matter what guns you get, it still kind of feels to me like the enemies can still put up a challenge and any enemy can kill me. Whereas there's been points in Isaac where I've become so powerful that I walk into the room and within seconds everything's dead before they can touch me. But I never get that in Gungeon. In Gungeon, I kind of feel like I have to be on my toes. I have to kind of be more skillful, and I've died way more in Gungeon than I have in Isaac. So if you like The Binding of Isaac, definitely look in to Enter the Gungeon. Very fun game. Okay, so we're about to be 22 minutes into this video, so I'm going to try to wrap it up a little bit, as fast as I can. But we have a couple more games on this list. The next game I want to talk about is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Xenoblade 2 was a game that I didn't really expect when they announced it back at the Nintendo Switch event, but the game was a lot of fun. The original Xenoblade, I picked it up for 3DS and I loved it. I thought it started off really slow at first, but it took a while before I could really get into it and enjoy it. It took me a while before I was like, it took me a while before I really got into the game and the game picked up. But once I did, I really enjoyed it. I thought the game was a lot of fun once I really got into the game and the game picked up. And so far, Xenoblade 2, I'm really liking it as well. I'm really liking Xenoblade 2 a lot. And I think that if you like the first Xenoblade, then you're going to like Xenoblade 2. Okay, so the next game I want to talk about is Rivals of Aether. Ether, whatever. This game is a game that I had heard about, but it wasn't until one of my friends had the game and he wanted to play with us. And, he brought his computer in and played it with us. And as soon as I played it, I was like, "Oh, I really like this game," because I'm a big Smash Bros fan. I really enjoy Smash Bros, and this game is a lot of fun in my opinion. But it does have a few differences from Smash that for some people it may be a deal breaker. And the biggest differences are that there are no shields in this game. Excuse me. In this game, you have a parry system, and in that game you have to, at the right moment for any like a projectile or a physical attack, you have to press the shield button and then you'll just parry it. And if you can time it right for a projectile, it will send the projectile back in the opposite direction, or for a physical attack it will actually stun the person that got parried for like a half a second, and then that allows you to kind of follow up for a combo or punish it. And for some people that may be a big deal breaker. Another thing is that there's no grabs because there's no shields, and then there's no ledges for you to grab onto. So when you're recovering, instead of grabbing on a ledge, every character has 2 wall jumps that they can use to try to get back on stage. And for the most part, with the exception of like one or two characters. In my opinion, all the characters have pretty good recoveries. And this game is available on like Steam. It's available on Xbox One. Although the Xbox One version is pretty much irrelevant because nobody talks about it, and then it doesn't even have the two most recent DLC characters when they came out back in October of 2017. So like that's crazy. And then the game's also apparently coming to the Nintendo Switch. So everybody on the Switch is itching for a Smash Bros game. Like there is Brawl out, but apparently that game's a train wreck on the Switch. But yeah, Rivals of Aether, really fun game, really good. You can get it on Steam for really cheap. Definitely check it out if you like Smash Bros and you want to try out a new game. Then definitely check out Rivals of Aether. Okay, so the next game is Danganronpa V3. Danganronpa was a series that I picked up after having played the Ace Attorney games, and I wanted to kind of get a game that's gonna scratch that Ace Attorney itch, and I picked up Danganronpa and I really enjoyed it. Pretty much the premise of Danganronpa is you're a group of students and you're trapped somewhere, and pretty much the only way to escape is you have to commit a murder, and you have to try to get away without getting caught. And what happens is whenever a murder happens, there's time for everybody to go investigate. Everybody can investigate the crime scene, talk to different witnesses or people who might know something about it, and then you go on to the class trial. And while you're in the class trial, you all got to try to figure out what's going on, and then somebody in the class trial with you is the murderer. And some of the mysteries and plot twists were really great. It had lots of lovable characters, and for all the Danganronpa games, not just Danganronpa 3, but all of them. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I thought that the ending at first I didn't like it, but then once I kind of just sat and thought about it, I kind of see what they were going for, and I think it was a pretty fun game. I think it was a really good game, really good, maybe potentially the last Danganronpa game, who knows, but I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed Danganronpa V3. The next game I want to talk about is Crawl. Crawl was a game that I remember seeing it back in Steam Early Access, like way before it came out, but I never really paid much attention into it. But then I played it, and it's a lot of fun. Pretty much the goal is you and like 3 other friends are like in a dungeon, and at first the 4 people have to fight, and whoever is the survivor of the fight can run around the dungeon, and they have to try to beat the final boss. But then your friends are the enemies, and they become ghosts. They can kind of possess other things, turn into different monsters. So pretty much it's like a race between who can be who can be the best player, being able to just go around and then possess different monsters, like possess different traps, and then try to just do whatever you can to kill whoever is the current human. And then you can kill whoever's the current human, you become the human, and then you can try to fight the boss. So it's just kind of like a really fun game. I think if you got like a lot of friends who like those type of games like that, then definitely look into Crawl. Pretty fun game. Okay, so the next game I want to talk about is quickly the Jackbox Party Pack. Jackbox Party Pack 3. This game is a pretty fun game where you have a collection of little games, and the way to play them is actually on your cell phone or tablet, or computer. So what you do is when the game starts, you have to go to the website that it says, and then you put in the room code, and then you can play using your phone, laptop, or tablet. And then some of the games can be like a trivia game. It can be like my favorite game is Faking It, where pretty much everybody in the group except one person is given a task to do, but the faker doesn't know what the task is, so they have to kind of just look at what everybody else is doing and quickly quickly try to do the correct answer. So for instance, it may say how many times do you brush your teeth in a day? And it's like, if you're the faker, you have to be like, oh crap, I don't know what the question is. I had to just guess. But then if you put up like 5 fingers, it's gonna be like, wait a minute, like I don't think people brush their teeth 5 times a day. So it's a pretty fun game. Pretty fun game. The next game I want to talk about is Persona 5. I heard really good things from one of my friends from high school about Persona 4. Back when Persona 4 first came out for the Vita, he played the game, and that was all he talked about for a while. He was like, wow, Persona 4, really good, really fun game. So eventually I decided, okay, you know, the game's on sale on the PlayStation Store for the Vita. I'll try it out. And then that game pretty much became my life for like a month or two. like I played that game for like a month or two, and you know, like the game was addicting. I loved it. I love, you know, the turn-based aspect, which actually I credit Persona 4 to being the game that got me into turn-based RPGs, because I hate to admit it, but growing up, I did not like turn-based RPGs. I kind of felt that, well, I didn't really like the aspect of taking turns to fight. I wanted to kind of, you know, game to play like God of War or Kingdom Hearts, where you go around, you're actually fighting and moving around. And growing up, I just didn't really like that. But then when I played Persona 4, I was like, oh, well, I really enjoyed this kind of turn-based, you know, style. It almost reminds me of like playing chess or checkers. And I really enjoyed that game. Played through Persona 4, played a little bit of Persona 3 after that, and then I played Persona 5, and it's a really great game. Persona 5 is a game that if you have a PS3 or PS4, and if you like turn-based RPGs, definitely look into Persona 5. Really fun turn-based, you know, kind of life school simulator game. Okay, so got 2 more games on this list, and then that'll be it. The next game is South Park: The Fractured Butthole. South Park, I remember when I got into South Park, my college roommate, my very first roommate, was a big South Park fan. Whenever a new episode would come out, we would go over to the dorm room, and he would invite a bunch of friends over, and we would all watch the new South Park episodes, and he loved it. And at that time, I didn't really like South Park. Well, no, I take that back. I knew of South Park, but I never really watched it. I just kind of knew it was like a little thing with, like, you know, these little kids going around, you know, whatnot, lots of cursing and vulgar stuff, but I never really watched it. I watched a few episodes of South Park, and I was dying laughing. I was like, oh my goodness, I really like, this is really good satire, really good comedy, and I became a South Park fan. So then when South Park Stick of Truth came out, I remember nobody was expecting that to be a good game. Everybody was kind of like, oh, well, South Park is gonna flop, or that's not gonna be an amazing game, that's not gonna be really anything worth talking about. But South Park Stick of Truth ended up being one of the greatest licensed video games of all time. Like one of the games that was based off of something that already existed outside of a game. That game was a lot of fun. Fractured Butthole, it got delayed a few times, but it finally came out, and I have to say I enjoyed the game. I think the combat system was better in Stick of Truth. I mean, I take it back. The combat in Fractured Butthole was better than Stick of Truth, but I feel that the story in Stick of Truth was better than the story in Fractured Butthole. So like one was better than the other, but one was worse than the other. I just didn't laugh as much at Fractured Butthole than I did Stick of Truth. I just don't really know why. I just kind of feel the writing wasn't as good, and then it got to a point where the game felt like it ended, but then it kept going on a little bit past that. I'm like, okay, well, it feels like that should have been the final boss, and then it's like, well, we're still going on. Okay, so the final game on this list is Gravity Rush 2. Gravity Rush 2 was a game that I didn't really expect to see it happen. I didn't really expect that to be a game to come out, because I remember the first Gravity Rush came out for the Vita, and I liked it. I thought it was a pretty fun game, and I enjoyed it, but I kind of felt that, well, since the Vita flopped, I didn't think we were going to ever get a sequel to it. But then sure enough, Gravity Rush 2 came out, and I like it so far. I think that the biggest thing is that the world looks a lot more colorful, and then I feel that the world is also way bigger. Like the first big city you get to, it feels like it's bigger than the first city in the Vita version ever was. Like I kind of feel that you could probably fit the city in the Vita version could probably fit 2 times into the one on the PS4. Like I just kind of feel like it's that much better. But I think that Gravity Rush, since Gravity Rush 1 is also on PS4, maybe check that one out too. But Gravity Rush is a pretty fun game. I really enjoyed it. I think the game's okay. I didn't think it was an amazing game, but I just didn't think it was like I didn't think it was terrible. For me, I'm kind of like in the middle with Gravity Rush. So at 35 minutes, really long video, but I wanted to go through this list of games. So just to go quickly summarize: Zelda, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, ARMS, Snipper Clips, Bomberman, Puyo Tetris, Pokken, 1-2 Switch, Binding of Isaac, Enter the Gungeon, Xenoblade 2, Rivals of Aether, Danganronpa V3, Crawl, Jackbox Party Pack 3, Persona 5, South Park Fractured Butthole, and Gravity Rush 2. So those were the games that I played in 2015, some better than others, some, but for the most part, like I said, 2017 was a great year for gaming. And thank you all for watching this really long video. Hopefully you guys like this new style that I'm doing of having, a PowerPoint presentation with like videos playing, so that way it's not just me talking to a camera or talking to just whatever. It looks a little bit more professional this way. I think I really like it. So thanks for watching. See you guys later. Hope you guys are having a great new year. Take care.